महादेव की जय, श्री सूर्य नारायण स्वामी की जय. Sabkoi, Jai Sitaram. Let me extend a very warm, cordial welcome to each and everyone this morning. Those of you who have journeyed to the Mandir here at 40 Todd Street, San Fernando, and are here in person. And I want to extend a very special welcome as well to all persons who are viewing us online, either on YouTube or on Facebook. Shubh Swagatam. This morning, we continue with our Satsang. Puja has already been completed, having been conducted this morning by a very lovely young couple, Akash and Seshma, who are visiting from abroad and who have recently celebrated their first wedding anniversary. So they sat and performed puja this morning. So congratulations to you both. Welcome to you and your entire family as well. Please, yes. And we also want to extend special blessings to all persons who have celebrated their birthday recently. So Pujari celebrated his birthday yesterday. We want to extend belated birthday greetings to him and to persons who are celebrating their birthday in this upcoming week. We have Shruti, who is celebrating her birthday. I am not sure if she's here yet. And we have Nalini, who is celebrating her birthday as well and who is here with us this morning. And other persons who are celebrating birthdays and auspicious occasions. Let us all now stand as we engage now in opening mantra, in invocation. We come before Bhagwan in all humility, with all love. We come offering ourselves in complete surrender to the lotus-like feet of that most omniscient, most merciful being. O Prabhu, you know our mind, you know our heart. We come before you in complete and utter surrender. Let us join together in prayer. Hari Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswati Namaha. Om Shri Guru Charan Kamalebhyo Namaha. Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Guru Me Deva Sarvakarishu Sarvara Jayanti Mangala Kali Bhadrakali Kapalini Durga Kshama Shiva Dhatri Swaha Swadha Namostute Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishna Mandir Jagadguru Nagindra Haraya Trilochanaya Bhasmangaragaya Maheshwaraya Nityaya Shuddhaya Digambaragaya Tasmai Nakaraya Namah Shivaya Om Namah Shivaya Ramaya Ramabhadraya Ramachandra Mabhedase Raghunathaya Nathaya Sitaye Pataye Namaha. Om Manojavam Marutatulya Bhegyam Jetindriyam Buddhimatam Varishtam Bhatatmajam Bharadyotamukam Shri Ramadutam Shirashi Namani. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om. Mehdiye, let us resume our seats as we engage now in Kirtan.
Lambodari Gajanana Vignanashak Gajanana Lambodari Gajanana Vignanashak Gajanana Dukhanashak Gajanana Bhaktarakshak Gajanana Dukhanashak Gajanana Bhaktarakshak कीटनाशक गजानना प्रथमेश्वर बुद्धिदाता भक्त पालक गजानना प्रथमेश्वर बुद्धिदाता भक्त पालक गजानना भक्त पालक गजानना परम शोभन दुष्ट हंता संत रक्षक गजानना परम शोभन दुष्ट हंता संत रक्षक गजानना लंबोदर गजानना विघ्ननाशक गजानना लंबोदर गजानना विघ्ननाशक गजानना दुःखनाशक गजानना भक्त रक्षक गजानना दुःखनाशक गजानना भक्त रक्षक गजानना भक्त रक्षक गजानना भक्त रक्षक गजानना।
प्रेम से बोले श्री गणेश भगवान की जय. We continue with Kirtan, led by members of the group, and we enjoin you to join and to clap, to sing, and indeed to render your voices towards Bhagwan.
We join in reciting the mantras of the Hanuman Chalisa.
Sri Guru Charan Saroj Raja
निज मन मुकुर सुधार वरनो रघुबर विमल जसु जो दायक फल चार बुद्धिहीन तनु जानिके सुमिरो पवन कुमार बल बुद्धि विद्या देहु मोहि हरहु कलेश विकार।
जय जय जय
हनुमान जय 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 हनुमान जय 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 हनुमान जय 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 हनुमान
जय हनुमान
ज्ञान गुण सागर जय कपीश तिहु लोक उजागर राम दूत अतुलित बल धामा अंजनी पुत्र पवन सुत नामा महावीर विक्रम बजरंगी कुमति निवार सुमति के संगी कंचन वरण विराज सुमेसा कानन कुंडल कुंचित केसा हाथ वज्र और ध्वजा विराजे कांधे मूर्ध जनेऊ साजे शंकर सुवन केसरी नंदन तेज प्रताप महाजगवंदन विद्यावान गुणी अति चातु राम काज करिबे को आतु प्रभु चरित्र सुनिबे को रसिया राम लखन सीता मन बसिया सूक्ष्म रूप धरि सियहि दिखावा विकट रूप धरि लंक जरावा
चंद्र के ताज सवारे, लाए संजीवन लखन जी आए, श्री रघुवीर हर्षि उर लाए, रघुपति कीन्ही बहुत बड़ाई, तुम मम प्रिय भरतहि सम भाई, सहस बदन जुमरो यश गावे, हस कहि श्रीपति कंठ लगावे, सनकादिक ब्रह्मादि मुनीसा, नारद शारद सहित अहीसा, यम कुबेर दिखपाल जहाते, कवि कोविद कहि सके कहाते, तुम उपकार सुग्रीव ही दीना, राम मिलाए राज पर दीना, तुम्हारी मंत्र विभीषण माना, लंकेश्वर भय सब जग जाना, युग सहस्र योजन पर भानु, लील्योताहि मधुर फल जानु, प्रभु मुद्रिका मिली मुख माई, जल दिलांग गई अचरज नाई, दुर्गम काज जगत के जेते, सुगम अनुग्रह तुम्हारे तेते, राम दुआरी तुम रखवारे, होत न आज्ञा बिन पैसारे, सब सुख लहे तुम्हारी शरणा, तुम रक्षक काहू को डरना, आपने तेज समारो आपे, तीनों लोक हांकते कांपे, भूत पिशाच निकट नहीं आवे, महावीर जब नाम सुनावे, नाशे रोग हरे सब पीरा, जपत निरंतर हनुमत वीरा, संकट से हनुमान छुड़ावे, मन क्रम वचन ध्यान जो लावे, सब पर राम तपस्वी राजा, तिनके काज सकल तुम साजा, और मनोरथ जो कोई लावे, सोई अमित जीवन फल पावे, चारों युग प्रताप तुम्हारा, है प्रसिद्ध जगत उजियारा, साधु संत के तुम रखवारे, असुर निकंदन राम दुलारे, अष्ट सिद्धि नवनिधि के दाता, असवर दीन जानकी माता, राम रसायन तुम्हारे पासा, सदा रहो रघुपति के दासा, तुम्हारी भजन राम को पावे, जन्म जन्म के दुख बिसरावे, अंत काल रघुपत पुर जाए, जहाँ जन्म हरि भक्त कहाई, और देवता चेतन धरे, अनुमत से सर्व सुख करे, संकट कटे निधि सब पीरा, जो सुमिरै हनुमत बलबीरा, जय 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 हनुमान गोसाई, कृपा करहु गुरुदेव की नाई, जो सत पार पात कर कोई, झूठ निबंध महासुख होई, जो यह पढ़े हनुमान चालीसा, होई सिद्धि साखी गौरीसा, तुलसीदास सदा हरि चेरा, कीजे नाथ हृदय महादेरा, पवन तनय संकट हरण,
बोलो श्री पवन पुत्र हनुमान की, बजरंग बली की। गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय, गोविंद जय जय
गोपाल जय जय,
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय,
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय।
Do we have children this morning for the children's class? Those children who are here for the children's class, Isha, come Iti, I want you to come sit here with me this morning. Any other children for the children's class can come sing with me this morning. Come son. Govind Jaya Jaya Gopal Jaya Jaya, Govind Jaya
जय गोपाल जय जय,
Radha Ramana Hari Govind Jaya Jaya,
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय,
Govind Jaya Jaya Gopal Jaya Jaya, Govind
जय जय गोपाल जय जय,
Radha Ramana Hari Govind Jaya Jaya, Radha
रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय,
Govind Jaya Jaya Gopal Jaya Jaya,
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय,
Radha Ramana Hari Govind Jaya Jaya.
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय।
प्रेम से बोल श्री गोविंद कृष्ण भगवान की।
Jai.
Sitaram everybody. We will do our dhyanam. Today we will also ask the children, you will sing along with me, all right? So we will learn it together and we'll be able to sing it together. Isha, okay? So you will sing with us? Okay. All right, let's begin. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavatam Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Namastute Vyasa Vishala Buddhe Phularavindayata Patra Netraha Yena Tvaya Bharata Tailya Purnaha Prajvalito Jnanamayah Pradipah Prapanna Parijataya Totra Vetraika Panaye Jnanamudraya Krishnaya Gitamrita Sarva Upanishado Gavo Dogdha Gopalanandana Partho Vatsa Sudhir Bhokta Dugdham Gitamritam Mahat Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kansa Chanura Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagat Guru Krishnam Vande Jagat Guru Krishnam Vande Jagat Guru. Together. Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum Shri Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum Krishnam Vande Jagat Guru Shri Krishnam Vande Jagat Guru. Oh Krishnam Vande Jagat Guru Shri Krishnam Vande Jagat Guru Krishnam Vande Jagat
Krishnam Vande Jagat Guru.
Krishna Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Shri Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum
Krishnam Vande Jagadguru.
Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Shri Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum
Krishnam Vande Jagadguru. Krishnam Vande Jagadguru.
Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Shri Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum
Krishnam Vande Jagadguru.
Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Shri Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Prem se bol Shri Govind Krishna Bhagavan ki. Today we will have our reading from chapter 4 and we'll be completing chapter 4 today. So remember, pick up your Bhagavad Gitas. There may be copies at the end of the bench where you are. Betty, you are reading? Who's reading? Aurora? Excellent. So I can have you come sit by the, you want to read from here? That'll be fine. Ensure that you have your copies. Ensure that you touch it to your forehead. And all who have participated so far for this year, I want to keep a record of it so that I will know for the month of February, for the month of March, for the month of April, for the month of May, who are the persons who would have read from the Bhagavad Gita. And today we have Aurora Biti. You may proceed. We begin chapter 4.
For as the blazing fire reduces the fuel to ashes, Arjuna, even so the fire of knowledge turns all actions to ashes. In this world there is no purifier as great as knowledge. He who has attained purity of heart through prolonged practice of Karma Yoga automatically sees the light of truth in the self in course of time.
Betty, hold 1 second. Take your time and read it. Enjoy each word so we could all follow along. Where are you reading from? Chapter 4, verse 31. Okay, great. So let's take our time and read it, right?
He who has mastered his senses, is exclusively devoted to his practice, and is full of faith, attains knowledge. Having had the revelation of truth, he immediately attains supreme peace in the form of God realization.
Betty, I think we're in the wrong page. Hold on. Let me see. Are you in chapter 4, verse 31? Hari Om, that's it. Govinda bolo Hari Gopal bolo Radha Ramana Hari Govinda bolo Radha Ramana Hari Govinda. So verse number 31, chapter 4. Let's go.
Arjuna, yogis who enjoy the nectar that has been left over after the performance of a sacrifice attain the eternal Brahma. To the man who does not offer sacrifice, even this world is not happy. How then can the other world be happy? Many such forms of sacrifice have been set forth in detail in the Vedas. Know them all as involving the action of mind, senses, and body. Thus, knowing the truth about them, you shall be freed from the bondage of action through their performance.
Arjuna, sacrifice through knowledge is superior to sacrifice performed with material things. For all actions, without exception, culminate in knowledge, O son of Kunti. Understand the true nature of that knowledge
by approaching sayers of truth. If you prostrate at their feet, render them service, and question them with an open and querulous heart, those wise sayers of truth will instruct you in that knowledge. Arjuna, when you have achieved enlightenment, ignorance will delude you no more. In the light of that knowledge, you will see the entire creation, first within your own self, and then in me, the Oversoul. Even if you were the most sinful of all sinners, this knowledge alone would carry you like a raft across all your sins. For as the blazing fire reduces the fuel to ashes,
Arjuna, even so the fire of knowledge turns all actions to ashes. In this world, there is no purifier as great as knowledge.
He who has attained purity of heart through prolonged practice of Karma Yoga automatically sees the light truth in the self in course of time. He who has mastered his senses is exclusively devoted to his practice and is full of faith, attains knowledge. Having had the revelation of truth, he immediately attains supreme peace in the form of God realization. He who lacks discrimination is devoid of faith and is at the same time possessed by doubt, is lost to the spiritual path. For the doubting soul, there is neither this world nor the world beyond, nor even happiness. Arjuna, actions do not bind him who has dedicated all his actions to God according to the spirit of Kama Yoga, whose doubts have been dispelled by wisdom and who is self-possessed. Therefore, Arjuna, slashing to pieces with the sword of knowledge this doubt in your heart, born of ignorance, establish yourself in Kama Yoga in the shape of even-mindedness and stand up for the fight.
Thus, in the Upanishads sung by the Lord, the science of Brahma, the scripture of Yoga, the dialogue between Sri Krishna and Arjuna ends the 4th chapter entitled The Yoga of Knowledge as well as the disciplines of action and knowledge. गोविंद बोलो हरि गोपाल बोलो गोविंद बोलो हरि गोपाल बोलो राधा रमन हरि गोविंद बोलो गोविंद बोलो हरि गोपाल बोलो गोविंद बोलो राधा रमन हरि गोविंद बोलो राधा रमन राधा रमन हरि गोविंद बोलो राधा रमन. Very good, Betty. You did a good job. Excellent. Give her a round of applause. It takes courage to come forward, to sit and to recite from the Bhagavad Gita, but you will get the blessings as well and your family as well. Let's all sit upright now as we just spend a few moments in prayer, in meditation, in thought. We inhale and exhale. And inhale and exhale. And one more time, inhale and exhale. We focus on Krishna Bhagavan or any other form that most pleases you. If we are able to do it with our eyes closed and we picture that form in our mind, then do so. If not, focus on the Murti in front. And let us enjoy this moment at the feet of Bhagavan. As we begin our journey, our meditation, our vision from the feet of Bhagavan, we look at his feet, we touch our hands to those feet, touch our forehead, and then we move up to that beautiful dhoti, all of the pretty pleats. We come to his stomach, where the Kaustubha jewel rests upon his chest, and we take our eyes up to his hands where he holds the bansuri, and he plays that beautiful sound for us, calling us to him. Come. Take a deep breath and continue our gaze up to his forehead, up to his crown where that beautiful peacock feather flutters in the wind. Wind all around us, shifting us, moving us in all directions. But we are that peacock feather, affixed to him, not shifting and falling. As we come back down to his hands, Imagine him now embracing us, running his fingers through our hair, blessing us and smiling with those beautiful eyes, smiling from his eyes, smiling from his mouth, from his whole face, down his body, back to the dhoti, and to his feet, where we once again rest our head and we pray. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo, you sing. Om Namo Bhagavate. Again. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo. Sing, fill your heart with love. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. प्रेम से बोल श्री गोविंद कृष्ण भगवान की. Open your eyes beautifully. Look at Bhagwan in whatever form most pleases you. Bow from wherever you are. Ask God to bless you and continue to keep you with him at all times, or her. To the children, thank you very much for joining with me. We will sing again next week, all right? Make sure you come. Betty, you did a good job. All right, so we'll have the children's class, is it? The children's class will be held now, so those of you who are here, you can now go across to join the children's class. Give them a round of applause. They did a great job. Excellent.
Prem se bole Shri Ganesh Bhagavan ki jai. Panaji, thank you very much for that wonderful initiative of having the young ones join with you in the recitation of Gita Dhyanam, and indeed providing that opportunity for them to have that confidence to come forward in reciting this most fundamental part of our scripture. We join together in a moment of pratna before pravachan. Hari Om Karpur Gauram Karunavataram Sansar Saram Bhujagendraharam Saravasantam Hridayaravinne Bhavam Bhavani Sahitam Namami Bhavam Bhavani Sahitam Namami Bhavam Bhavani Sahitam Namami. Prem se bole Umapati Mahadeva ki jai. Once more, I want to extend a very special welcome to each and every one of you this morning. I see many faces who we haven't seen in some time, and we want to extend a very cordial welcome to you and look forward to seeing you with us each and every Sunday during our satsang that takes place from 8:30 to 10 a.m. Again, The invitation is extended to those of you who are viewing us online. The online facility is really geared for those persons primarily abroad who physically can't come to the Mandir, and we have many viewers from different parts of the globe. But for those of you who are in the country, we would really want to urge you as vigorously as we can to make that effort to come out on a Sunday morning and join with fellow devotees as we engage in puja and satsang. There is no replacement for the energy that we can have and the support that we can generate for each other when we come together in satsang like this. This morning my message will be an abbreviated one because, as you know, should be aware, our Mandir's AGM will be held today immediately after service. So we will be having the annual general meeting of the management committee of the Krishna Mandir, and we're inviting all of you who are here to stay behind and observe, and those of you who are financial members to stay behind and participate and offer yourself for service on the management committee of this Mandir. This is indeed our Mandir. It does not belong to any individual or group of individuals. So we urge you to take part in that. I also want us to be mindful that Tuesday coming, and this is really the focus of the message, Tuesday coming represents for us an important occasion. And for many of the ones in school, our young ones, you might think, yes, it's important, it's a holiday, we do have to go to school that day. And for many people who are working, you might feel likewise. But it marks the 178th anniversary of the arrival of our foreparents to the lands of these shores. And the public holiday, which marks that event, was not something that was long-standing, but came about after agitation and after the feeling that it must be marked by some event which will cause persons to stop their routine activities, to pause and to reflect upon from whence we came, where we are, and hopefully to formulate that vision for where we would like to go. And so each and every occasion where these types of celebrations occur, whether it is a birthday, whether it is an anniversary, whether it is an event like this, it really ought to give us that, that opportunity to do those things. And so we've noticed throughout the length and breadth of the country, particularly emerging from the pandemic, that there are many organizations that are hosting cultural events. The National Council of Indian Culture has dedicated this month as Heritage Month, and there are many events that are taking place there of a cultural nature and otherwise. And that occurs as well. I think the Sanatana Dharma Mahasabha is having its dinner as well at the Rock Road Primary School this evening, if I'm not mistaken. And so many others are doing likewise. And it gives us that opportunity to reflect. Last year, we had Justice of Appeal Ronnie Budu Singh, who was here to deliver a message on the occasion. And some of the things he touched upon would have been the achievements of our present generation and immediate past generation, those descendants of those indentured immigrants, and where they have gotten to in various spheres of activity. And he pointed to business, education, academia, entrepreneurship. He spoke about the judiciary and other places where these descendants of our indentured immigrants have made and continue to make a lasting impression. Many of us as well in these celebrations would think about things like the cultural impact. So yes, dance, song, music, the attire that we wear, all of these things remain as rich legacies of that cultural tradition. Some of us speak to the food and the various types and iterations of food that we have as a result of that, the language and so on. And there are many other things, art, craft, all of those things that remain with us as legacies. But invariably, over time, we find that these things are slightly, but surely, being eroded. So that, for example, when you ask young ones today, do you know what a pukani is? Or pukni? We don't know. What is a sapi? We don't know. What is a, well, we may know a tawa. Some of us may not know that. If you say, what's a bilna? You say, oh, you're talking about the rolling pin, right? And that kind of thing. So the language and those items are being lost. When you talk about the use of a chulha and so on, those things we wonder about. And quite rightly, our younger folks may say, well, what's the relevance of that when we have technology and all of these things that, have replaced them quite successfully. Why do I need a chulha that would smoke up my eyes and the entire house when I have an electric stove, right? That kind of thing. So those arguments are well-founded, but it is important for us to embrace the legacy, and I want to speak this morning about FIRST, F-I-R-S-T. And I want to speak about the traits and competencies and skills of our indentured foreparents when they came to this land, and how those skills, competencies, and traits are still critical for us today, and even more so in the future. F, foresight. Many of our indentured immigrants or laborers would have come to this country by choice because things were difficult and they were looking for a better life for their families. Many of them did not come with the intention to stay, but they came with the opportunity to work and to have that foresight that in order for us, or in order for them to succeed materially, for their families to be better off, there's the need to embrace opportunities that may present themselves. So they were thinking in terms of that. When they came to this land as well, it wasn't with a view of, well, I'll just have a good old time, but it was with regard to the foresight of what comes next. And so for many of them, that diligent work and effort, that saving, that acquisition, that planning, required that foresight as to what will occur thereafter. We must ask ourselves in our day-to-day living, as individuals, as family members, as leaders of our households, do we engage in that type of planning? Do we actively sit back as young people when we are in school and think about the things that we would like to have and like to be and who we would like to emulate, and then actively pursue that in terms of that foresight? Do we, when we become householders, think about the future of our family, our children, and where we would like our family and our children to be, materially, physically, but also most critically, spiritually, and chart a pathway to that? Do we embrace that foresight? And I'm asking these questions rhetorically because, unfortunately, but quite understandably, many of us don't. We are all caught up in the day-to-day things. I need to finish today to go and see the IPL, and that is my important goal, right? But these are things that are just immediate. They're not long-lasting because guess what? Next year there will be an IPL. Next year there will be a CPL. Next year there will be the Premier League. There will be the Champions League. It continues on. But then the more important things, do we lose sight of that in the midst of those mundane? Foresight. I, innovation. Our foreparents were able to bring with them certain things, but they were not able to bring with them everything. And so they had to adapt to conditions, to times, to circumstances, to what was there and what was not there. In other words, they had to innovate. And that innovation allowed them to survive. But more than that, it allowed them to thrive. And so it is for us, particularly in the 21st century, when things are changing and changing rapidly. Do we all have and embrace that skill and spirit of innovation? We hear a lot of Western gurus and business strategists and others talking about innovation, but do we know what it means to innovate in various ways? And innovation occurs from a simple thing that you can do in your household to make things easier for you. I remember my late Pua. She had this house where you had these fancy bricks, as you would call them. You know, the fancy blocks with circular things and little holes and all of that. And I'm just using this as an example. And like many of the older folks now, she would have been engaged in cleaning her own home. There was no maid, there was nobody to come in and pressure wash and do all of those things. You did it yourself. And so it was that her hand couldn't fit into some of these holes to clean them. And so her innovation was to find a little stick, put a little thing at the end of it, and use that to be able to clean those blocks without injuring her hand. And I thought, wow, for somebody who didn't go to beyond primary school, how innovative was she? And many other examples that I'm sure if you address your mind to, you would recognize that innovation that our foreparents had embraced and practiced. And that is something that we all can think about in terms of our future actions and our future behavior in any aspect of our life. How we study, how we cook, how we work, the things that we do, our future plans. Innovation must be a very critical part of it. R, resilience. That seems to be self-explanatory. But resilience is something and a trait that we must richly embrace from our foreparents. Because if they were not resilient people, they would not have survived in this environment. And when I say this environment, an environment that was foreign to them, an environment where there was no family support, an environment where there was very little allotted to them, but from which much was expected. I'll give you an example. Many people say, well, you know, indentureship was not too difficult a thing. But in a recent book published by Himraj Ramdath, and I will draw your attention to it, entitled Beyond Indentureship, Indo-Trinidadian Entrepreneurs, and it is a wonderful book to read. Not only that it is an offering, that it is timely on the occasion of Indian arrival, but it traces Indian businesses, East Indian businesses that have emerged from indentureship and that still survive today. And in that text, he is talking about a situation where once you were confined to an estate, you had to remain within 2 miles of that estate. If you wanted to go beyond that, to visit somebody or to do something, you had to get a special written permission to be able to undertake that. Fair enough, it seems. No problem with that. But the office where you could have gotten that written permission was more than 2 miles away. Catch 22. If you want the permission, you have to get it, but you can't go that place because it's more than 2 miles away. So in essence, our foreparents were invariably confined to the location where they were at and not able to move beyond that during their tenure of indentureship. If they did, the risk was imprisonment. The risk was imprisonment. And that is something that was very real. And so it is, their resilience led them in the midst of those difficult times and circumstances to still succeed, to still nurture their families, to still maintain their dharma, and so be able to pass that on for us to enjoy. And we may ask ourselves now in the 21st century, living in 2023, is this a skill, is this a trait that we should have? Should we have that spirit of resilience? Or should we just, at every turn that comes our way, say, you know what, I done with this, yes, I can't manage this, this is too hard. This thing too difficult, whatever it may be. Or do we have that resilience in us that our foreparents did that will allow us to be able to come through those difficult times? S, spirituality. This morning we sang Hanuman Chalisa. Pandit Devendra has been reciting and leading us in the recitation not only of Bhagavad Gita, but recently within the confines of certain chaupai from Ramcharitmanas. That ability to maintain their spirituality and dharma is an amazing accomplishment of our foreparents. The very fact that we can sit here in 2023 in a comfortable environment whenever we choose to, pandemic aside, and engage in acts of worship, engage in puja, engage in satsang, be able to teach our children, be able to promote that dharma, and indeed to engage in those spiritual actions is as a result of their sacrifices. Where we stand and where we sit right now used to be a cane field. It used to be a cane field. These lands belong to the sugarcane companies. And here we are now as a result of that, being able to promote our spirituality and our dharma. And that is why the appeal is made ever so often for persons to not treat this lightly, to not treat this opportunity as though it is something that we are entitled to, because it never was. It was something that our foreparents had to work very hard for, had to sacrifice for, to be able to give us the opportunity. And so it is for you, the younger ones, as much as sometimes it might not seem attractive, it might not seem to be the in thing, it might not seem to be worth your time and so on, to recognize that history and that journey, to understand where we are, but more than that, in your own mind to formulate, how can I embrace this, how can I nurture this, and how can I continue to propagate this? And that is very important. Because it is sometimes when we lose that, when we miss that boat, and then in the twilight years, we look back with regret that, oh, I should have done this, and I should have done that, and I ought to have done this, that we sometimes find ourselves in difficult times. And so it is, do not lose the opportunity that is before you now. That's why we make the appeal. Bring your children and grandchildren to Mandir. Bring the young ones, let them attend Balvihar classes. Bring them out to music classes. Bring them to yoga. Whenever we're having events, let them come. Because amongst everything in this Mandir, we try very hard to cater for all age groups and all categories of persons. And that's why some people may say, well, you know, your Sunday morning service, we want to see more of that. Yes, we may want to see more of that, but we have to be mindful that everybody sitting here may come to Mandir for a different reason. Persons may come to perform a puja. Persons may come to hear pravachan. Persons may come to sing or hear a bhajan. Persons may come to go and offer the arti. We cannot overlook the needs of the many. And that is important for us. So that spirituality is important for us all. So every morning when you get up, it doesn't take anything from you to go before your murti in however extravagant or however simpler way and to say your prayers and start your day off that way. To inculcate little things in your actions during the course of the day, even when you're in the midst of your friends and your crowd, that are in keeping with those tenets. To avoid those things that our Dharma tells us that will erode that spiritual pathway. Finally, T, towards a better future. At the end of the indentureship, and in his book, in his introduction, Mr. Ramdat says, during the period of indentureship, there were 147,592 laborers that came to this country. I'll repeat that again. 147,592 indentured laborers that came to this country during the period of indentureship. We are now a population of about 1.4 million. And by some estimation, descendants of East Indians account for just about 30-something% or a bit more than that. Yes? Now, I want you to think towards a better future. Recent estimates of official persons put our Venezuelan refugees and immigrants or migrants here at 70,000. Many of us would speculate it's a lot more than that. So their journey here is no different really in terms of number, because that's only in a very short space of time, and in terms of circumstance. Our journey here, some 178 years later, was similar to what they are doing now. So when we sometimes appeal, and when appeals are being made to help our Venezuelan brothers and sisters, let us not turn a blind eye, because our foreparents were in a similar circumstance and needed that help some time ago. When we see the atrocities that are being committed to some of the female migrants in particular, let us not turn away and say, well, you know what, that's not my concern. Let them go back to their country. That should not be on our lips at all, because that's not our dharma. But what we should instead be doing is steadfastly looking towards our own future in this country and beyond. Because times are changing, circumstances are changing, and we are faced with a lot of difficulty in all spheres. And we must understand what does our future hold for us, knowing the change in these dynamics and these circumstances. And I'm not here to talk about the answers, because that will take us several days. And Vishnu looking at me already saying, boy, IPL started, no IPL started. But looking towards the future should be an exercise that we all should engage in, individually and collectively as families. We must do so as organizations. We must do so as a community. Because if we don't look towards the future, then we will forever be stuck in the past and in the present. And that is something that we, especially the young ones I'm appealing to, think about your future. Think about the things that you need to do now that will impact your future. Think about the things that you should avoid now that will allow you to have a better future. We know these things. It's just sometimes it is stuck somewhere in the back of our mind. What I'm saying is nothing new. but they are lessons that have been learned from history. They are lessons that have been learned from our foreparents, and they are lessons that were valuable then, and 178 years later, they are valuable now. And these are the conversations that we ought to have with our children when we sit to have a meal with them. These are the things we should be talking about, not about which Trinidad song got lifted and who is Gabriel and what nonsense happened and all of that. Those are not the things that we should be speaking to. They're unimportant in the general scheme of things. Let us have those valuable and meaningful conversations so that our children will become stronger, they will become more powerful, they will become more confident, and they will indeed create and craft that future that will allow for future generations. Brothers and sisters, as we celebrate East Indian arrival on Tuesday, I want us to pause and reflect a little bit on the contributions of our foreparents. I thank you very much. Jai Sitaram. Before we invite you to come forward, just one thing I want to announce, and that is next week, Saturday, the 3rd of June. There is a motorcade and rally that is taking place where the group known as the Concerned Citizens for Better San Fernando, of which the Mandir is a member, the Sri Sivak Sabha is a member, the schools, the PTAs of the schools are members in the immediate area, businessmen business persons are members, residents are members. We are all coming together to stage this motorcade and rally to address that very serious issue that is impacting us all, which is the escalating and spiraling crime situation. Linked to that, there are many other issues involving governance, involving the economy, involving leadership. But we are starting somewhere with something that touches us all, regardless of where we are, who we are, where we live, or anything of that nature. We've been asking persons in support of that, either directly or indirectly, to wear national colors, not only on that day, but particularly on that day. To have your national flag, not only on that day, but particularly on that day. And so this morning, we invite you to come and to participate. The motorcade starts at 9:30 on Palmis Boulevard, right opposite Palmis Park. It starts there at 9:30 next Saturday. We want to see you all, those of you with vehicles, come out with your vehicles. There are national flags that we have here where you can affix them to your vehicle. On the windows, there's a clip attached, and that's what we have here. And we are inviting you, if you are interested in one, it's $20 for it. Get it, put it on your vehicle all the time, but particularly on that day. Keep it on your vehicle. Why? Because this country is our country. This country is our country to save and to protect and to embrace and to nurture. This is the only place that we can all call home. This is the only place that we can all call home. We think we're Indian, go to India. And from the time you open your mouth, they will say, you are not Indian. So let us disabuse our minds of that immediately. This is our home. And so, if you want a flag, we have some on sale. They're $20. But we want you to join with us on that motorcade. It is going through Palmis, Laramine, Gulfview, down Lady Hills Avenue, up through Pointe-a-Pierre Road, Vista Bella, Pointe-a-Pierre Road, Marabella, then down the bypass, into Coquet, Pleasantville, and then ending, hopefully at 11:30, on Naparima College ground on Lewis Street in San Fernando. I want everyone to come out. Everyone. We will be having prayers being said. This is not a political move. If politicians want to construe it as political, then great, let them do that. Interestingly enough, the political campaign for the local government election was kicked off right here. We wonder why. So if they want to construe it as political, no problem. Because our leaders, whoever they are, whichever party, it doesn't matter. They need to listen to people. They need to stop playing politics with our lives and with the crime situation. That has to stop. Proper decision-making has to be done. And we pray that God will intervene and affect positively the minds of those leaders, wherever they sit, so that when they are thinking about, is this a political decision I make, or should this be one for all of the people of Trinidad and Tobago, they will think it is the latter. They will think it is the latter. Let us decide for the benefit of our citizens and not for some small political agenda. We are praying for our leaders. We will have a few cultural items, and we will have a message appealing to our leaders to do the right thing, to allocate the proper resources effectively. Out of that rally, we will have a document prepared which we are presenting to the Honorable Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, that we are presenting to the Honorable Leader of the Opposition of Trinidad and Tobago, because those are our primary players to make a difference. We will also be presenting it to the President of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, who has declared herself to be one of our mediators and chief servants. And we are hoping that that impact will generate the inspiration individually. So when you see something wrong, you report it to the police. When you know something is amiss, you report it, and you have that faith and confidence that the corrective action will be taken. And we band together, not only by community watch groups, not only by creating gated communities, not only by everybody buying an air horn to blow off, but by doing something a bit more tangible than that. We must say our prayers, but we must never forget to tie our horse. And what we are doing is making sure that horse is well secured. So I invite you to join with us on Saturday when we take part in that rally and motorcade. Thank you, brothers and sisters. I do apologize for taking the extra time. Bisha, sorry. We hand over to the group, and we invite you now to come forward and engage in your archery. Remember, the AGM is right after our service.
Can we get the words for O children of noble and ancient culture, please? Thank you. O children of noble and ancient culture,
Awake, the time has come to rise, united with courage and strength together. Rise up, awake, the time is right. O children of noble culture. Our parents came from India, land afar, bringing with them their culture. With little but their dharma, full of joy and hope forever. All they brought with them was their culture. When they came here, they planted upon this land the seeds of the culture that they had brought, united with courage and strength together, building a new home in this land. Oh, children of ancient culture. The days and the nights, though hard and trying, could not destroy their culture, could not destroy their dharma. They were brave and fought like Rama. They were strong and stood like Sita, full of faith, love and vision. Their sons and their daughters rise up to face the task at hand, unite in the work that our fathers started, building a new home in this land. Oh, children of noble culture. We the youths of today, our duty awaits us. Now is no time for weakness. Now is the time for action. Let us love and serve one another. Let us strive to build our future. Let us join hands and voices across the land, continuing the work that our fathers began. Fearless with courage and determination, building a new home in this land. Oh, children of ancient culture. children of brighter future.
Children of noble and ancient culture,
Awake, the time has come to rise, united with courage and strength together. Rise up, awake, the time is right. Oh, children of noble culture.
oh children of noble culture, oh children of noble culture.
जय जय रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम
रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम।
जय जय रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम
जय जय रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम।
सीताराम जय सीताराम बजमन प्यारे सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम भज मन प्यारे सीताराम।
ओम सीताराम जय सीताराम बजमन प्यारे सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम भज मन प्यारे सीताराम।
जय जय रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम
जय जय रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम।
राम राम राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम
राम राम राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम।
ओ राम राम राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम
राम राम राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम।
जय जय रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम
जय जय रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम।
सीताराम जय सीताराम बजमन प्यारे सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम भज मन प्यारे सीताराम।
जय जय रघुपति राघव
राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम। रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम।
राम पावन सीताराम
पतित पावन सीताराम
पतित पावन सीताराम
पतित पावन सीताराम सुखवरन प्रभु नारायण हे दुख हरन प्रभु नारायण हे तेरे लोकपति दाता सुख धाम स्वीकारो मेरे परिणाम स्वीकारो मेरे परिणाम प्रभु स्वीकारो मेरे परिणाम तेरे लोकपति दाता सुख धाम स्वीकारो मेरे परिणाम स्वीकारो मेरे परिणाम स्वीकारो मेरे परिणाम मनवानी में वो सत्य कहा जो महिमा तुम्हारी गान करे अगमा गोचर अविकारी निर्लेप हो हर शक्ति से परे हम और तो कुछ भी जाने ना केवल गाते हैं पावन नाम स्वीकारो मेरे परिणाम स्वीकारो मेरे परिणाम स्वीकारो मेरे परिणाम तेरे लोकपति दाता सुख धाम स्वीकारो मेरे परिणाम स्वीकारो मेरे परिणाम आदि मध्य और अंत तुम ही और तुम हो आत्मा धारे हो भक्तों के तुम प्राण प्रभु इस जीवन के रखवारे हो तुम में जीवे जन्मे तुम में और अंत करे तुम में विश्राम स्वीकारो मेरे परिणाम स्वीकारो मेरे परिणाम तेरे लोकपति दाता सुख धाम स्वीकारो मेरे परिणाम प्रभु स्वीकारो मेरे परिणाम चरण कमल का ध्यान धरो और प्राण करे सुमिरन तेरा दीनाश्रय दीनानाथ प्रभु भवबंधन का तो हरि मेरा शरणागत के श्याम हरि हे नाथ मुझे तुम लेना थाम स्वीकारो मेरे परिणाम प्रभु स्वीकारो मेरे परिणाम तेरे लोकपति दाता सुख धाम
stand for final arti.
ॐ जय जगदीश हरे स्वामी जय जगदीश हरे
भक्त जनों के संकट दास जनों के संकट जग में दूर करे। ओम जय जगदीश हरे।
जो ध्यावे फल पावे दुख बिन से मन का
स्वामी दुख बिन से मन का सुख संपत्ति घर आवे सुख संपत्ति घर आवे कष्ट मिटे तन का। ओम जय जगदीश हरे। मात पिता तुम मेरे शरण गहूँ किसकी स्वामी शरण गहूँ किसकी। तुम बिन और न दूजा तुम बिन और न दूजा आश करो जिसकी। ओम जय जगदीश हरे। तुम पूरन परमात्मा तुम अंतर्यामी स्वामी तुम अंतर्यामी। पार ब्रह्म परमेश्वर पार ब्रह्म परमेश्वर तुम सबके स्वामी। ओम जय जगदीश हरे। तुम करुणा के सागर तुम पालन करता स्वामी तुम पालन करता। हम सेवक तुम स्वामी हम सेवक तुम स्वामी कृपा करो भरता। ओम जय जगदीश हरे। तुम हो एक अगोचर सबके प्राणपति स्वामी सबके प्राणपति। किस विधि मिलो दया में किस विधि मिलो दया में तुमको मैं कुमति। ओम जय जगदीश हरे। दीन बंधु दुख हरता तुम रक्षक मेरे स्वामी तुम रक्षक मेरे। अपने हाथ उठाओ अपने हाथ उठाओ द्वार परा तेरे। ओम जय जगदीश हरे। विषय विकार मिटाओ पाप हरो देवा स्वामी पाप हरो देवा। श्रद्धा भक्ति बढ़ाओ श्रद्धा प्रेम बढ़ाओ संतन की सेवा। ओम जय जगदीश हरे।
तन मन धन सब है तेरा स्वामी सब कुछ है तेरा।
तेरा तुझको अर्पण तेरा तुझको अर्पण क्या लागा मेरा। ओम जय जगदीश हरे। ओम जय जगदीश हरे। स्वामी जय जगदीश हरे। भक्त जन
पाप क्षण में दूर करे। ओम जय जगदीश हरे, ओम जय जगदीश हरे, ओम जय जगदीश हरे।
Hari Om. Oh Prabhu, you are mother and father, you are family, you are friend, you are knowledge, you are wealth, you are everything to us. We pray this morning in a special way for all persons who may have lost their loved ones. We pray for our foreparents, the Atma, wherever they may be. We give thanks for the sacrifices that they have made to allow us to be where we are today. And we make that solemn commitment that we ourselves would make the necessary efforts and sacrifices for future generations. O Prabhu, we ask you to direct our minds and our hearts to that pathway that would lead us ever so closer to you, as we surrender ourselves completely to your lotus-like feet. We join together in prayer. Hari Om. Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhu Cha Seka Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurama Amritam Gamaya Om Shanti 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 Hari Om. प्रेम से बोले श्री गणेश भगवान की जय, उमापति महादेव की जय, वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की जय, आज शक्ति जगदम्बा देवी मैया की जय, श्री पवनपुत्र हनुमान की जय। प्रेम से बोले श्री सच्चे सनातन धर्म की जय। 100 persons next to you, सबको जय सीताराम, जय सीताराम, जय सीताराम. Wish you all a very powerful week ahead. We invite you to stay behind for AGM. Refreshments are provided for you if you stay behind at the AGM, so that's an incentive as well. And to join with us. Look forward to seeing you all with us next Saturday at our rally, and then again next Sunday at 8:30. Jai Sitaram.